What's up, YouTube? Matt Kennedy here. Right now, we are making a really cool YouTube video talking about tiny homes. Tiny homes are pretty much homes where it's really designed for either very small families or for like you and a spouse or you and someone else or just you. It's definitely not designed for big families, definitely not designed for people who love yards, definitely not designed for someone who, wants to have so many guests over all the time. It's a way for really, it's a movement of like Gen Z people. I'm sure Gen Alpha might agree up the road. Someone who really just has some like lower standards and they're fine with not having all this space. But the big thing is they don't want the dreadful mortgage payment. And they still own the home, obviously. Here's the thing and reason I'm making a video about this. Not only is this part of our home series on my channel, but it's also a matter of raising awareness on what the media is not going to tell you about tiny homes. Because if anyone's ever seen a tiny home or they're curious about tiny homes, they can be pretty elegant. And even though it's like, let's just face it, not the biggest square foot, some of the insides of these homes can be really cool. And let's just face it, it looks elegant, but it's not massive. In my opinion, the three big things that automatically were a turnoff for me. Number one is residential zoning requirements. Not every place is going to let you just have land and put a tiny home right on it. Some counties may have rules against it, and you're going to have to usually be in a tiny home community or like an RV park. And let's just face it, there might be a few that are like really uppity and it has like pickleball resort, pools, you're by the beach maybe. There might be a few nice tiny home areas, but from what I've seen, you're gonna be in areas where people can't, like, they're not doing it because they want to, they're doing it because it's all they can afford. And so the difference is, in my philosophy, I wanted to do it because I could be rich. Because if I could buy a home, that's all I need. And trust me, some of these are actually stick built. They're not what they used to be, like RVs. Now, these aren't, some of them are RVs, on wheels, whatever, but like most of these could be like, for example, like right here, this is like a structure like in the ground, right? Like this is probably like a one bedroom, one bath, maybe a kitchen in there. That's all it is, right? Like the reason why I would appreciate this is because, and how I could be rich. If I could buy a home for like 100 grand, I could probably pay it off in cash if I live with my parents after college for like a few years, or at least 3-4 years of saving salary, right? You have no more mortgage payment, and it's like your mortgage payment is really what people work for in their lives. And then now that my house is paid for, all of my salary can go towards utilities and just living life. But the reason why, there's three big reasons. The first reason was, again, there are zoning requirements. So like, although there are some like nicer areas where, there's some nicer areas, not as many nicer areas. So, some areas where, now obviously this is like an AI, like, it looks nice and whatever. But at the end of the day, is it going to actually be nice, or is it going to look a little beat up? More like, whatever. Like, how does the residential park actually look? Can you do it by the mountains and have a lifestyle? And again, maybe you're in California and it's not the best RV park, but you know what? You're in California. You have a car. You know what? My home's not the greatest, but this is my way of saying I'm in California. I'm an hour from Hollywood. I'm going to live my life, right? It all depends what you want. But because there are restrictions of where you can put these homes, it's already almost I'm out because I have a pretty good job. And so unless I, lived at home for another 2, 3 years and I wanted to save up all the money to where I probably paid in cash, I don't really see a reason why I would leave my family, my friends, my roots in Cleveland. At least not yet on my life. I'm not ready to. My grandparents are alive. Who knows what happened to them in the next few years. Like, I'm not ready to just pick up and move at my point in my life. If you are, maybe this option is for you because, even though there are zoning requirements for where you can put, an actual tiny home, you have to understand that, dude, if you're willing to move anywhere in the whole US to literally pay a home in cash and you could have 100 grand. Now, to be fair, there are some homes that are going to be more like 200 grand. And at that point, get like a real home. But maybe it's 200 grand, but it's like one of the nicest, almost possible, bigger square foot. Probably I've seen some small, I've seen some homes be over 1,000 square feet, and it's still considered a tiny home, but it's still enough. I've even seen 3, 4 bedroom, right? Two common rooms. Like, I mean, I saw some nice ones, right? 2 bath. The idea is you're able to not have a mortgage payment. Or at least, well, I was, now look, I know we're going in circles here, but there's so much to talk about, right? The second problem is equity. Just because you're able to pay it off full, if the home is on wheels, it is actually not considered a residential property. If it's going to be to the ground and it's structured in the ground, then you are able to go out there and consider it like it's an actual home. So there's really a lot of, this is number 2, there's a lot of gray areas in terms of appreciation, depreciation. Homes nowadays that are tiny homes or, and let's just face it, some of these tiny homes, like, I know this is for veterans, but like, if this is all you need in your life, you have a place to live, you own it. At the end of the day, it doesn't really seem that bad. Again, it's these communities. I'm by the water, maybe, or, might not be the best home, but it's the location that matters. It's the only place I could afford in actual downtown LA. Or, right, like, that's the factor, right? So, like, when you really think about things such as, is it on wheels? Like, pretty much an RV home. Is it not going to be on wheels? Those factors affect sometimes. I mean, even some of these right here is like really cool, right? Like, these are the things that I'm talking about where it's like some of them like could be actually like pretty cool. But again, appreciation factors, is it actually considered a home or is it mobile? That affects the value. So the more and more I learn about these homes and how I found out that especially if it's on wheels and it's not to the ground, do I even own the land that the home is on? Because there was literally one place within a 40-minute radius where I could put a tiny home or a home on wheels, and it's literally $900 a month to rent the spot out to where I could build a home or have a company manufacture this home, Doesn't matter if it's cheap, it's all in cash. I have no home payment. You'll still have your utilities, and you still have your so-called taxes of, well, to be fair, you would you would still have the property taxes of a home anyway if it was a real home. So I guess it almost offsets, but you have to literally pay to have your home in that lot in the tiny home community or an RV park. Because again, this looks like more like an RV park, right? Even though they are homes, it looks like an RV park, right? Like right there's more of an RV, right? Like you get what I'm saying, right? For me to pay rent of these different strips to rent out that strip, that's bullshit. At that point, I'm just a renter, like in an apartment. So am I really owning it? I own the walls. I don't own my land. So I am a renter then. The equities in question. Number 3, this is the last part of the video without being too long. The third biggest question with these tiny homes, okay? The third factor is going to be that once you literally get one and once you go into the process, you literally might have some issues with getting some of your money back. Because you need to understand that, the people who, and again, some of these look pretty cool, right? But the problem is you already have a targeted audience. So especially if it's on wheels and it's not like in the ground like these ones are, some of the resale value, someone could argue, hey, look, these homes are cheap enough. Why would I buy a 15-year used one? I'll just make my own. And that's what makes them depreciate. Is if a home is mobile, or even some of these homes right here, which they don't look bad at all, right? It's what I need. It looks nice. If they're on wheels, which these could be, all I'm trying to say is, why would I buy one that's 15 years old when I could buy one brand new? Because they're literally, like, they're all relatively cheap. So it's like the resale value is just not there. So I hope this video will help in some way, shape, or form. I think there's really a big push in the media, in my YouTube shorts, whatever. And I could have done a better job in this video. You guys know I could have done a better job. But I'm just here to educate people on everything I've learned about tiny homes and not trying to be negative, but I would have done it if it weren't for some of those 3-4 factors I named in this video. I would have actually done it. To have a chance to have a mortgage payment erased in your whole life, and I own the property, as long as you're single and you have no family to feed or whatever, like if that's all I need, I can then enjoy my life and just live life. But you're not building equity, because when you buy the home, it's like a car on wheels. It's only going to depreciate in value. I'm out. And that's what it is. So give me your thoughts on tiny homes and we'll go from there. Peace.